Hello, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. We welcome you to one more episode of our new LinkedIn live event series, Merging Minds, powered by BureauWorks. I'm Viveta Gene, AI language specialist and MTP trainer, PhD student in translation, and head of partnerships at BureauWorks. BureauWorks is a cloud-based translation management system integrating innovative AI translation technology and the winner of the Process Innovation Challenge at Lockworld 50. Every week, we will meet here with a special guest and hear the voices of our translation industry from all perspectives. And our motto is Talk Fair on Air. So, what is on our plate for today? You will get inspired by learning what is the job of a localization manager. You will be informed of how to build a localization department investing in talent to embrace the AI era. You will challenge yourself. Are we a good match for a localization department embracing AI innovation? You will delve into the skill set needed to be a perfect fit for a localization department of a big enterprise. You will find solutions to your daily pains when working with CAT tools with the innovative translation tech of BWX. You will hear translator stories from our guests and, as usual, understand, act, interact, and learn with us with our quizzes, polls, and fail for fun wall. So today we are honored to have with us John Walsh. John helps companies with their international expansion. He's a co-founder at LocStep Vendor Management Solutions and co-instructor for the business writing course at the Middlebury University. Welcome, John. We're honored to have you with us, and we're very eager to hear your short life story.
That was quite an introduction. Thanks, Viveta. Thank you for having me. Yeah, delighted to be here to talk about localization for anybody that is listening. But I suppose life story, I won't go into my whole life story, but I'll give a kind of synopsis of my career maybe today. So I suppose I fell into localization by accident pretty much about 13 or 14 years ago. So I was meant to be going on the construction management, project management route. And I came out of college in a recession in Ireland where building was on its knees, to be nice. So I ended up doing an internship in localization with McAfee Internet Security. Well, it was McAfee at the time down in Cork. And I've stayed with it since. So for the last kind of decade and a half nearly, I've been working for multiple vendors, localization industry vendors. I've been in big tech companies as localization project managers, program manager, vendor manager. So always on the project and vendor management track. So it's been very interesting decade and a half. And what I would say is that for a very simple industry where it's words in and words out, I've never had 2 days the same. So I suppose that brings me up most recently, where in summer of 2023, we launched LocStep Vendor Management Solutions. And so basically what LocStep does is that, I suppose, we were thinking of, what's happening in the industry, everything that's going on. There was a lot changing, with big tech companies doing layoffs, and the industry is changing due to AI and everything like that. So we're like, well, what's the next move? So essentially what we found is that localization teams needed to adapt to the changing industry, and they have to operate in a leaner environment. So they need to have the days of the 10 and 20 localization program managers in-house, in my opinion, is kind of gone. So what localization teams need to do is identify what's really of strategic value and keep that in-house and outsource the rest. So that's where we kind of come in, where we would be the in-house localization team, but in a vendor format, so that we can work with enterprise buyers on a year-on-year basis, and we'll help run the daily operations. We do have a vendor management expertise kind of niche that we'll look at as well, and that essentially covers everything from onboarding vendors, onboarding LSPs, technology, and finding the right partners for enterprise buyers, managing the performance, setting out the contracts, the SLAs, the KPIs, the costs, the management, everything that goes into everything in the background there, and basically making sure that partnership is working and that's fluent, and that it's in the name in LocStep that they're all in sync and that they're marching in sync, and the vendor is working to the buyer's requirements and needs. So it's been a really, really interesting journey. It's been I suppose eye-opening as well to see the challenges that multiple clients are facing in all stages of their life cycle, whether they're startup or scale up, whether they're large enterprise buyers with huge teams, whether they've gone through redundancies or not. Everybody is I suppose, fighting to adapt to the changing environment and everything like that. And that's really kind of been an eye opener for me as well, in terms of the new solutions that are out there in the industry as well, and how people can future proof their programs. So yeah, that's the kind of synopsis brings us up to date, I guess, from a career perspective. So yeah.
Thank you so much. It is more about solution selling, it seems, and very demanding. And by starting with this short introduction and warm the audience, I'm going to start with our first section, which is about our questions and answers. And it is about 5 questions that you are going to pick out of 10 questions that I have available. So you can pick one question from 1 to 10.
Let's start with number 1.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So my first question is related to AI, and it is, how do you implement AI in your services?
Yeah. So it's hard to answer this question without the caveat of it depends at the start of it. So it really does depend on the buyer's needs and requirements, the enterprise buyer's needs and requirements. So there's a huge difference in, I suppose, risk tolerance. So if somebody is in pharmaceutical, they're not going to have AI translating their content for, to go on a packet of pills because it's life or death. If somebody's on e-commerce, or they're an online service, they have a lot higher risk tolerance, so it's easier to kind of implement AI there. So it does really depend on the requirements. From our perspective, what we look at is that AI is a lot of things, and it will be a lot of things as it grows and gets better, and kind of as people learn what to do with it, I suppose, essentially. And where we're positioning ourselves is that we want to be the kind of critical thinkers. So, we can't just leave AI run the show and walk away and kind of dust off your hands and assume it's done. You still need somebody there to tell it what to do, to check what it did afterwards, to make sure that it's on the right path, and like you're implementing it in the right way, that you've got your checks and balances in place, so you're using it correctly, everything that goes with it. So from our perspective, what we want to do, so we are a solutions provider. So we're not consulting solely. We're more of a managed service in what we're setting up, but we're solutions based. So our focus is on finding those solutions for people, and depending on what it is, we will implement the AI solutions for them. So what we're looking for basically is, in a typical scenario, we're looking at AI, and AI isn't hugely new within localization. It's, we've had machine translation, we've machine learning within the industry for years. AI, and generative AI in particular, has brought that on a lot in the last 12 months, 14 months. So what we want to do is be able to try and find a solution where you can use the tried and tested solutions, bring in the new generative AI, and give it that extra 10% or the extra 15% on top. And what we're seeing really is that, the neural machine translation is still one of the better solutions for accuracy. The large language models are better for fluency. And it's best to kind of implement them as a layered approach, as opposed to a single one size fits all. So that's really kind of where we're coming in, to find the overall, like, I suppose, really investigate our clients' needs and requirements and risk tolerance, and find the solution that goes into them. There's a lot that can go in between automation from automation from a process point of view, of file intake, whether you look at what 11 Labs are doing from the dubbing and voiceover perspective at the moment, it's a game changer. So it really does depend. If somebody has that solution, if they have that requirement, you're looking at the likes of 11 Labs to bring that solution in-house. If it's translation solution, or they need to translate more content for cheaper, that's where you're looking at AI into your translation content. It might be the quality checks, quality audits at the end, that you're using AI to, get an estimate of overall quality kind of likelihood. So it really does depend. But essentially where we try and fit in is to add that critical thinking piece and make sure that the solution kind of solves the problem as well.
Good. And what is your best use case of AI? Your personal preference? Where do you find it that it fits best?
So for me personally, it's not that I'm risk averse. I'm like a cautious optimist. So I definitely feel like it has a a really strong role to play. I am cautious when it comes to like your core product, like your UI or anything like that. I'm very cautious about implementing it in there, because it's the difference between, well, using it solely on AI, I'm very cautious against, because it can be the difference between your customer being able to use your product or not, or being able to get through your checkout process flow or not. That being said, you can use the human in the loop, and you need the translators there, you need the linguists there to be able to like add that check and that sanity check and make sure that it's fully accurate and fully like up to scratch. But for me, I guess the biggest value add that we're seeing is the kind of large volumes of content, your help center content, and the kind of the more supporting type content, where it's cost prohibitive just to localize it using, you know, the old school standard 2-person process to go through the whole translation flow. Implementing AI with the human in the loop editor at the end, it just allows you to do so much more for so much less money. You know, and you can find there are solutions there that will give you the same quality output, but it has to be in tandem. It can't just be AI. It has to be with the translators, with that linguistic expertise on top, the human touch and feel and fluency that needs to go with it, essentially.
It is very nice to hear this, and it's always the central part of the discussion, the human in the loop. So I believe that we can go with another question. Pick one number.
And number 3, let's go.
Okay, number 3. So is there a lack of resources in the localization management, and is it easy to turn a translator into a localization manager?
Is there a lack of resources? I would say, well, within the past 12 months, we're seeing a lot of internal teams that have a lack of resources in terms of just purely headcount. On the internal teams, the internal localization teams, scale ups are, you know, they're offloading the localization work to another team as a side project, and until they're big enough to actually onboard a full-time localization manager. So in that instant, and then the bigger companies have gone through redundancies. They've gone from 10 program managers or project managers down to 2. So from that perspective, there's a lack of resources, I guess. Typically, I suppose the other kind of lack of resources that I tend to see is the data and analytics kind of skill set within localization managers. There's a huge project management skill set in there, but that data and analytics mindset of like being a core function of localization, I feel, is few and far between. A lot of the companies I've worked with and for in the past tend to lean onto the data analytics team, which is a peer team for them to actually provide a service for them. Whereas I think having somebody like that in-house within your localization team is a game changer. It just it allows you to find, you know, the solutions to the problems that you don't even know that are there until you really slice and dice the data and you see where the problems are, where the efficiencies can be gained and stuff like that. So the data and analytics piece, I find, is one of the big ones. As for can you turn a translator or a linguist into a project manager, 100%. So working, and I've got multiple examples of where this has been a success. I'm involved with Middlebury Institute in the master's program in Middlebury. There's lots of linguists that go in there and they study to become project managers, and they're excellent. I'm working with one person in particular at the moment who jumps to mind, who's a language lead, a language manager, who's transitioning into be a project manager, and he's superb. His technical knowledge and detail on localization cannot be faltered, and his attitude is superb. It's brilliant, and he's going to be fantastic. He is a fantastic project manager, and he will be a brilliant one as years come on. So yes, you can absolutely transition from linguist to project manager. My tip would be, and I feel like the kind of biggest stumbling block that people probably face is moving away from that project level, language level mindset into, okay, what's happening on a broader scale? So does this impact multiple languages? Does this impact multiple projects? And trying to see kind of more programmatically where you can make the changes and fixes and see, do you need to change a whole process as opposed to just implement a fix to a change so that just kind of really involves somebody kind of stepping up that one level, having a wider viewpoint and stuff like that. So, but yes, it can 100% work, and it has worked, and I've seen it work multiple times. So yes, it is always a possibility.
Thank you so much. So there is a question from, let me see, a question for us. So, do the panel think that AI is sufficiently integrated with current TMS tools, or on what time scale is that likely to happen?
So this is really broad because there's lots of TMS tools. From what I've seen, there's a lot of integrations. Some of them are more bolt on after the fact. Trying to implement, you're trying to get the square peg in the round hole and trying to bolt it on at the end. But yes, there is a lot of work happening at the moment to integrate it and onboard it. And I know, like even looking at BureauWorks and what you guys are doing on your side, that's ingrained, and like that's really what's happening. So I guess the AI and that integration into the process is happening, and it's growing. It's grassroots, and looking at the likes of BureauWorks coming in with innovative solutions. I know you guys got the gold in LocWorld, so yes, it's there. What I'm looking at as an enterprise buyer perspective at the moment, and with my vendor management hat on, is it's not so much like what the technology is or how it's there. It's more of how it's being adopted. So localization has a long history of how linguists are paid for their work. AI is changing all of that, and I feel like enterprise buyers need to change how they pay for their services and onboard those linguists and retain those linguists. The LSPs, the service providers, need to change how they're paying them. From a buyer perspective, I want the linguist to be engaged on my content. I want them to be retained month over month, year after year, be the experts, be my eyes and ears on the ground for that language. But if they're going to get paid a fractional cents per word because AI is doing all the productivity, it's not going to work for them. It's not going to work for me. So I feel like that whole payment and that equity of how to make sure that there's a long-term solution for linguists to survive, and a long-term solution for enterprise buyers to actually get a service with that human in the loop and get that skill set. That's the part that I feel that is, we haven't jumped that hurdle yet. I feel like it's happening, but I haven't seen the perfect solution out there just yet.
Yeah, the compensation model is really a pain right now, and there are so many confusing compensation models. So it's not really clear, because you may have MTP flat rate, MTP term model, MTP something else, editing rate, thinking rate. I don't know what it could be. So yeah, we need something like an ISO probably to fix that, something like a solution implemented. So thank you very much, John, for stating this. And let's go with another question.
Sure. I suppose we skip 2. We skip 4. We'll go for number 5.
Number 5. So this could be a storytelling. So as you have further experience in the industry, what is a story that you experienced and was funny or unique? And it can be related to the localization industry, to an attitude of a translator or manager or student towards AI. And how did you approach it?
Yeah, I suppose I've had a couple of experiences. I suppose from a student perspective, there was one question of, well, everything will just be AI, and we'll put that through, and there won't be, nobody will know. It was funny because in the live class, when it was mentioned, it was like, oh, well, just use AI, and it was myself and the other co-instructor said, well, we'll just know, we'll see it, and we'll know it. And lo and behold, within the week, we had a submission in for the task that they were meant to do, and it was obviously AI. So it was funny just to double back and just to see it happen in a live event. I've had a recent experience where somebody has said, in terms of AI, and it's like, oh, we'll just use AI for everything. Forget human in the loop. We'll just use AI. Sure, we'll probably build our own large language model anyway, which I found amusing. It's just the complexity that goes in when you're looking at different languages. When you look at whether it's Asian languages or African languages, like they've all got different needs and requirements, and large language models haven't been tested as robustly, I suppose, as the European and the kind of more core languages have been. So to think that that there will just be a one size fits all solution for all languages in a matter of weeks or months is a funny one in my mind. Again, just that kind of rational optimist in me of like, just I'm sure it will get there, but I just don't think it's a matter of weeks away.
Great. So I would like to ask you, do you allow your students to use OpenAI?
Yeah, so in the writing course that I'm a part of, yeah, we allow them to use it as an assistant, so to speak. You do expect somebody to add that critical thinking to it too as well, and make sure that they're editing it and they're the human in the loop for their own content, which I feel is more and more important as well, because I feel like, the more, like, even from a business perspective at the moment, you can use AI to just write content, write blog posts, and you could be posting on a week, daily, hourly basis if you wanted to. But if you're putting out shite, like, just that's not vetted, or it's not telling anybody anything of newsworthy, you're just creating more noise. So I feel like you still need your personality within your life, within your industry, within your profession as well. So, and you kind of have to add that personality, your own personality, to your content as well. So yeah, we do allow it. It is allowed, but it is expected that obviously it's not just pure raw AI output, Gen AI output, and they do edit it.
Now I'm curious. Let's say that a student has an idea, and it goes to OpenAI and says, "Okay, I have this idea. Please place the words in the correct order. Do it this way, the other way, etc." And they build something there, which somehow it is fine-tuned, and it reflects their personality, their writing personality, let's say. Are you going to be able to find out that they used it? Did you have a case like that?
If they're vetting it, like if they're kind of tweaking it and prompting it as they go, and it fits in with their style and their writing style and their personality, probably not. We're not going to find it. I'm sure I probably have received some that I haven't copped as well, but personally, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Like, if it's just kind of reverse engineering it, like if you're doing the tweaking and the prompting and you're adding that critical input on the input side as opposed to the output side, then 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. Once their personality and their style is coming across, and like across the board, like, I guess I don't see a problem with that one.
This is really interesting about reverse engineering. I keep it. It could be a nice post with your copyrights. Okay. So, yes, let's go to another question. Then you can pick one.
Where were we? 5. We'll go with 7.
7. It's very relevant to what we were discussing. So it says, you are also a co-instructor in business writing at the Middlebury University. Beyond translation, do you believe that the new generations have a rich potential in writing? How can this be compared to the past? How do your students feel about writing?
100%, they've a rich future in it. Yeah, I mean, you look at it, the students that are coming out now, AI and Gen AI is normal. It's just there. That's all they know. It's there, like, as they're entering into the workforce, they're going to be able to use that as well as, or if not better than, most people have been in the industry for 10 or 20 years. So the way I kind of compare it is, like, if you're an engineer and you were around at the starting of computers, and you start working on the original language, the coding language, as that develops and you develop with it, they just become better and better engineers. And I feel like that's the same for any students coming out now. They will be growing with Gen AI. So there's 100% a future there. And, like, ultimately they're facing the same problem that anybody else in the industry is facing, which is how do you apply it? How and where do you apply it, and how do you make it yours, and how do you make it secure and robust, and everything that goes with it as well.
Thank you. And our last question.
9.
9. So this is for the role of the vendor manager. From the perspective of the vendor manager, do you find that translators are translation technology literate? Is there resistance or willingness to learn?
Are they literate? Yes. I would say they're probably the most literate technology wise within the industry. We find like there could be freelance translators that are working on 5 or 10 different accounts or programs. They could all be using a different TMS. They could all be using a different CAT tool. So they're absolutely literate in terms of what they need to get their job done. The technology may be built in-house. I've had 2 experiences previously in tech companies where we built our own CAT tool in-house. They've had to learn that and adapt to that and stuff, as well as the industry standard stuff, the stuff that's generally available. So yes, I feel like they're totally literate. In terms of the second part of the question of like, are they adapting to the technology? I feel like this kind of comes back to the point I made previously, which is, how they're being paid and how they're being paid fairly, how you pay them fairly for their work within the new and evolving technology with AI included. So, as I said, the kind of historical way or the standard and traditional way is to pay per word for their productivity based on their word rate. But if AI is going to be doing, the bulk of the kind of groundwork or legwork on that, and they're doing the editing and the review piece on that only, I don't think it's fair to expect to just pay for an editing step anymore. I feel like you're actually buying a kind of higher level service off of linguists now when you're doing that, because there's plenty going on around AI in terms of hallucinations, and there's AI made straight from the source. Like it might the example I saw the other day was it might translate a shop from a market to market, and that's different meanings depending on where you're going. So go to a shop as one standalone building. A market, it could be a group of shops. So like if it's up to the linguist to actually capture that and change it and make sure it's standard. The other thing that's coming up is the false fluency. So it's so fluent, it would actually convince you that it's accurate when it could be totally wrong. And you're expecting a linguist to go in and catch all of that, when traditionally they were being paid at 20 cents a word or whatever, or probably 10 cents a word or whatever it was. And the LSPs take their cut, of course. To translate from English to their target text. But now you're asking them to look at the English, look at to review the content that's already translated, be critically assess it to make sure that it's accurate and that it's fluent and that everything is right with it. So I feel like the word rate model needs to change, and we need to throw out the old word rate and the kind of fuzzy grids, as we move into the space, and find out how do you pay linguists fairly for that work, for that critical thinking, because again, it could be the difference between somebody being able to use your product or not, or being able to check out for a purchase that they're trying to do on your site. So it's worth investing into at that point of view and point to the solution. I don't know if that answers the question or if I've just gone a big tangent there. But
For sure. And I would go with another question that just comes to my mind. It is, and okay, we're talking about the rates and about fair payments, but do you believe that LSPs and enterprises are ready for fair payments?
I think it's something that the LSPs need to get on board with. So, they're looking at it from a technology point of view, but I feel like it's the agreement side of, LSPs need to make their margin, right? They're in it as a business, they're in it to make money, but so are linguists and so are enterprise companies, buyers as well. So at the end of the day, it has to be fair and equitable, and you have to be getting a service that's value for money as you go through it. I feel like there's a huge need for LSPs as you grow forward as well. It's not that as an enterprise buyer, you can just go out and work with freelance translators directly. And the overhead on that, and as I said a while ago, your in-house team is getting smaller, not bigger. But the overhead to actually manage, 10 or 40, depending on how many languages you have and how many translators or linguists you have 40 or 50 linguists. The overhead to manage all of that and all of those engagements and all of the pricing and the payments and everything like that is huge. So there is a role to be played by the LSPs, but they need to adapt their models to the technology that's there as well. And that will come top down. That will come from the enterprise buyers making sure that the linguists are being paid fairly. So like that, there's a chicken and egg thing there as well. The LSPs need to adapt, but so does the mindset of the buyers.
And there is a tendency towards in-house translators, isn't it?
So there is I suppose, yeah, we've seen a good few companies that are using in-house translators. I feel like that is a harder one to scale, for companies. Quite honestly, I feel like there's a huge role to be played for in-house linguists in terms of language managers and setting standards and overseeing and, adding kind of broader scale kind of language expertise in-house. They're really ingrained within the tool or within the product. As to them actually doing translation work, I'm fairly, I'd be kind of on the other side. I feel like, if they go on holidays for 2 weeks, what do? You need to have your backup. You need to be able to outsource. You need redundancy built in and capacity planning and everything like that. So I feel like that's one as well. And as I said a while ago, I mean, if you're scaling up to support 30 or 40 languages, that's a lot of in-house translators that you need by the time you build your capacity.
Yes, correct. It depends on the model. We are going to separate ourselves from the discussion of payments as a translation technology provider because we believe that we bring something ethical to the market and we place translators at the heart of the translation process. It is not our business to build a strategy around pricing. However, we're all on the same boat, meaning that we are co-responsible, let's say, for what it happens. So by saying this, I'm going to pass on to the next section of our meeting today, and let's go with a quiz. Let's find what is your knowledge about BWX. And you were a little bit stressed about this quiz, I know, but it's so fun. So
Yeah.
let's relax together. Natasha will share now this code, and you can scan it with your mobile. So this is Slido, and once you do so, you will have access to the quiz, and we can go and read the first question. So it is all about BWX and the different features. And you have not studied anything, I know, unless you use the tool. You will tell us, and we will find out actually, and then we will share with the audience. So let me know when we can start.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm in, so we can start.
Okay, great. So the first question is what is the technology used to fine-tune the style of the translator in BWX? Neural machine translation, artificial intelligence, deep learning, or linguistic pattern recognition?
So the fine tune is D, right? LPR.
Linguistic pattern recognition?
Yeah.
You see the right answer? It is deep learning.
Oh, deep learning. Oh, I'm wrong. Okay.
Because the tool learns from the translator while they translate. So it is an interactive interface, interactive system, collaborative. And this is why we believe in it, because it improves and boosts collaboration. Let's go to the second one.
Yeah. Let's move on. Yeah.
which which feature of BWX would we use to get a warning about a potential quality challenge? Alternative suggestion, warning tags, translation smells, and challenge detector.
I believe this one is C, right?
Yeah, it's C. Well done.
Yes.
Third question. We go to the next one. So, what are the AI powered functions in BWX that secure quality? I'm going to change this question. I'm telling you because I feel like dizzy when I read the answers. Translation warnings, tags fixing, ChatGPT suggestion, tags corrector. Translation warnings, proofreading, fixing tags, alternative suggestion, LQA, speller, terminology verifier, translation smells, proofreading, fixing tags, alternative suggestion.
Oh, there's a lot in that.
It is like a maze. even even myself, I'm getting confused with this.
Yeah, well, there's two ways. So let's pick A. The the bottom one. No. How are we doing? Did I get that one right? The last one? No.
Did you pick one? The last one?
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I picked but there's two A's. Sorry, I don't know if that's picked up right.
So it's D?
Yeah.
Okay. I tried to be a poker face, but probably not very well. So yeah, it is translation smells, proofreading, fixing tags, and alternative suggestion. Well done. Good student, John. Let's go to the next one. Which engine and ChatGPT are used by BWX?
B. DeepL ChatGPT 4. Right? No? C.
It could be, but it is C because DeepL is one
Sorry, it's Angel. I didn't read
engine
the
we
question
don't
right.
use. We use Microsoft Azure, and we use both ChatGPT 3.5 and 4. So yeah, let's go to the last one. What is one of the security certificates used by BWX?
SOC 2 and Type 2, right?
Correct.
I believe, yes. So,
Great, well done.
got
Yeah, it
one.
is the highest level of security certificate that we have obtained, and this is what makes safe your work in the cloud. So thank you very much. You did really well. It was like a 3 out of 5 or 4. I think it was
We'll
3.
say 4.
4? Okay, let's say 4 because we like you, John. Okay, great. So. Now, let's go and check. I'm going to share my screen and let's go and check together the different features of BWX. And today you can also have your questions about, because I know you come from the localization industry, so you may have questions coming from the management side or the enterprise side. So let's check this together. So I'm sharing my screen. I want to do this. Okay, here it is with us. So what we see here is an imaginary project, and we have a project from Portuguese into English. I show this project because we're talking about localization, so there are some items that are crucial, I would say, for localization. And you see that the project is very easily created. You just drag and drop the file, and if you have created your settings, I mean, you have set it this up here with the translation settings. Like if you want to use LLMs, you have to enable the augmented translation actions. And if you want to use MT, here are the settings for the MT. And going forward, we can go and set up our organizations. So we build an organization which may be a client, it may be a department. No, it cannot be a department. Actually, it could be anything. But let's say that in this case, it is a client. So organization is a client, and we build organizational units, which can be a department of a client, or it may be the same client. The reason that we work with organizational units, just to shed some light on the management aspects of the TMS, is because if you have a department of the same client, this means that this department will have specific assets that are going to be particular for this specific department. Okay, so the department is going to have a specific translation memory, glossary, empty settings, TM settings. Anything is going to be specific to this unit. And then if you have more departments, then maybe you would like to share the permissions of the users of this department at a level. So you have marketing, technical, scientific, different departments, different assets for the same client, or you just have client A, organization, organizational unit, client A, client B, client B, and so on. So this is how it works. And it's very important because everything is built on the organizational unit. And after we set up this and we have our users in the system, we can set up the translation memory, we can set up a glossary, and these can be attached to this unit. So we're ready to create our project. So if I go to projects, I can create my project here. And you see the different projects and can go with a new project, drag and drop. And starting from there, I create a workflow with as many steps as I like. So for this demo, we're going to use the demo from Portuguese into English. And here I am with the text. So once I have created my project, I have here a source and a target. You have the preview. This is, I suppose, very common with all the editors. And in my window, I can see that I have results coming from machine translation, translation memory, yes, and AI translation. And I can also have terms. So, for example, if I go here, I can add a term and I can say that this term, okay, here we are, it is players. And I can save this term. So this will be highlighted and it's going to be to appear here in my results window. So we see that as we work with it, we can add the terms, and the more terms we add, this means that the better the system learns from us. And whenever there is a change in the terminology, this applies to the whole project, to our TMs. And while we are writing, this updates our style, and all our stylistic preferences update the system. So there is a flow of context where the system learns from us, we teach the system, and everything happens in an interactive way. So there is a collaborative model based on the deep learning technology. And we can see here the results. So what we see here, we see that we have a feature, translation smells. And this is very unique because it can smell whenever something is fishy in the translation. And here you can see that the number of free spins for new players was incorrectly translated from 100 in the original text to 10 in the English translation. One thing. Second thing, it finds that there is an omission. The English translation omits the information about the bonus being 100% of the first deposit up to $100. So you receive these warnings, and the important thing is, because people will ask, are these warnings relevant? If they may be, they may not be. And if you have no warning, you may still have something smelling fishy and it's not caught. But the important thing is that we have a level of safety with translation smells. It has a semantic verifier, meaning, for example, that if here I don't have spins, but I have sins, and I ask translation smells to find the error, it will come up with a suggestion for this error. So let's see that. It will say that it is not sins because of the context, but it is spins. So yeah, it should be here, but normally it appears. So this is one thing. And if I have here alternative suggestion, instead of going to the ChatGPT, I receive an alternative suggestion in my interface. So here you see in the original translation, spins was mistakenly translated as sins. So you see here it is the explanation with our semantic verifier, which again is really useful, especially when we have, let's say, junior translators, junior post editors. It gives them some hints and suggestions. So if we have errors now, let's do something really bad. So here you see that I have proofread. The check-in translation smells will show us that there is a spelling error. And by using proofreading, you can see that this error is going to be detected and corrected. So this is the automatic proofreading. Finally, I think I have fixed tags, which is a very impressive feature. Let's say that we have documents coming from a bad OCR, and when we import them in the tool, then you have many corrupted tags. In this case, you just click fix tags, and the tags are going to be placed in their correct position. These are some of the AI powered features that we have in BWX, and the best, based on my research and my surveys, the more popular ones are translation smells and fixed tags. What about you, John? What did you like here? What do you find authentic?
Yeah, I like this. I like the alternative suggestions. Tracking the semantics piece is quite powerful as well. Again, it's that AI. It's nice to have an alternative recommendation, but you need to know why it's better or why it needs to be changed. Um, yeah, this looks great.
Okay. I think it's really worth it to try. And we have a special link for today, which is that if you sign up by the end of our session, you have a free trial for 14 days and 30% off for the first 3 months. So you have the chance to play with all these features and see this new collaborative model, how this technology works. And it's not only about the collaborative model and the interaction of human and engine, because I have Julie and Dando, and they work with the tool, and they tell me, look, you don't need to train an engine anymore, because you just add your terms and the engine is trained. So this is very deep. If you think about it, you save so much time. And at some point, if you have correct translations, really you don't need to train anymore the engines. So it's worth trying it out, and people share with us your feedback. On the other hand, there are some more things I could share with the audience, because we discussed, and you had some questions from the management perspective, correct, John?
Yeah, so I suppose from again, like from the enterprise buyer perspective, I'm just curious of the connectivity piece. So how easy it is to connect BWX into the internal repositories that might be holding the content, whether that's
Mm-hmm.
like GitHubs or GitLabs or Zendesk's, HubSpots. So how does that work?
Okay, so regarding the APIs, which is one topic, this goes with our solution architects. So there are many things that can happen. So everything is under discussion, and contact us. We will have a solution for you. Regarding the different integrations, I can share this screen with you, where you can see how to connect your tools and work efficiently. So you see some examples of integrations: Kentico, Zendesk, WordPress, Marketo, AEM, Drupal, and GitHub integrations. So you can have a look here, and maybe there is something for you. So there are many integrations that take place. Additionally, because people are asking for this in most of our demos, I can show the supported languages. We support more than 200 languages, and you can see that there are many different locales, for example, for Arabic, and the same can go, for example, for French, where we have Dutch Belgium, Dutch Netherlands, and we also have French Canada, French France, and Spanish have many of them. So you see all the languages here that are supported. And in addition to the languages, there are many files that are supported. So you have HTML, you have JSON files, SRT, XLeaf, SDLXleaf, and whenever there is an unsupported extension, we give you an advice how to make it supported. So you have all the information in our support page about how to manage things with BWX. And the last thing, because we discussed this about our tool, is this section with the different plans. Because you asked me, John, if our BWX is a good solution only for translators or for LSPs or for enterprises. And when I'm talking to people, many people have the same question. So BWX has different plans to cover the different needs. There is the solo plan, which is for translators, the boutique plan for, I would say, bigger teams and LSPs, then Clockwork, which goes with up to 150 seats, and Quantum, which has no seat limit, and it's very good for the big enterprises or generally for the big plans. So here you see that it is fair enough, because for all the plans it can cover different amount of number of seats, but you always have the GPT integration, custom GPT instance, machine translation routing. We said that it supports Microsoft Azure, and it has ChatGPT 3.5 and 4. So you have Gen AI, augmented translation editor, project management, terminology, translation memories, and multimedia preview. So you see that in all the plans we have these features, and only some of the automations come with the higher plans. So as you had this question about the quality, correct? And if there is any automation about quality, correct, John? Would you
Yeah,
like to find out more about this?
yeah. So the second one, exactly. I suppose on that kind of line of questioning is, I'm curious around like the audit or the audit trail and that is left behind when changes are made, and how we manage or measure quality within the tool.
Okay, so regarding the automation, I believe that for the quality is very important when you try to see the changes, as you said, the audit trail, and you also want to see what were the changes that the reviewer had, and finally, if you can export in a very fast and efficient way an LQA. So there, what we have in BWX is that when, for example, you are here in the editor and there are some corrections, these are automatically categorized. So you have some suggestions about the different categories. It could be preferential changes, terminology, language, all of these categories. So whenever there are these corrections, these are logged. And in the end, after the revision is completed, there is a sort of report coming out with all the errors, the explanations, why were these marked as errors, and so on. The important thing about this automation is that based on this evaluation, the translator gets a score, and the next time that the team wants to assign a project of specific characteristics, let's say that it is a medical project, and I don't know, whatever could be the characteristics of the project, a specific document type, for example, the system will find out that this translator had a good performance over a threshold, let's say 75%. So it will automatically suggest the specific translator for the new project matching this criteria. And I believe that this automation saves a lot of time, along with the automatic, let's say, it is not automatic, it is supervised LQA report coming out from the revision. Do you find this interesting?
Yeah, definitely. That is something that's key. That sanity check, or that kind of safety net, I guess, from a buyer's perspective as well, just to make sure that everything is going the way it's meant to go. So yeah, it's nice to know that this is out of the box solution that's there.
Okay, that's good to know. Your feedback is really important, and at this point, I think that we covered enough. People, you can go and sign up for this offer, or you can reach out to us for more information. And now let's go and play a little bit, John. I think it's time for our fast five. So let us do the following. We're going to play now.
Okay, let's go.
So I have 5 questions. You have 10 seconds for each one of my questions. Very fast. If time is up, then this means that I'm going to the next one. Okay?
No pressure. Yeah, let's go.
No pressure at all. So, what's the greatest thing that you've experienced with AI?
Um, uh, I don't know. After that, I don't know. Um,
I think this is fast.
you put me under pressure. The strangest thing, I haven't come across
Next
any.
question.
Next one, yeah.
What's one tool or tip you can share that makes you most productive?
Asana. I use Asana all the time. The desktop, I have the app. I could be walking on the street and add in my to-do list and reprioritize directly. So that's my go-to.
What's the biggest myth people believe when it comes to translation and technology?
Um, Localization as a whole is that you need to be able to speak a second language. I don't believe that it's needed. You need to understand languages and the concepts that are there, but I don't believe that you have to have a second language yourself to be working in the industry.
What's your favorite word in your native language?
Grand. Everything is grand. In Ireland, we don't give out about anything. Everything is just grand. So no matter what's happening, it's grand.
Using one word, how would you describe AI?
Transformative. Yeah. It's probably the old
Very
cliche.
positive.
Probably the cliche of transformative, but yeah, it is. It really is just like turning everything on its head.
This is my favorite question, because it is one word. And I realize that people answer really fast to this question, which means that they're really educated. They have shaped their attitude towards AI. Last time it was disruptive, now it is transformative. So, transformative means very optimistic,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's optimistic. I guess it probably comes quick. It's top of mind for everyone at the moment as well, right? So it's probably the easier question to answer right now as well. It's top of mind.
Okay, John. So, what is your message after this interview? What would you like to share with our audience as a closing?
Um, yeah, I suppose overall, I guess like the whole topic of AI in within your localization program, like I suppose I would definitely encourage people to look to AI as part of their future proofing of their localization program. You know, don't be afraid of it. Lean into it. It's not going away. You're going to be you can either take control of the change or it's going to be imposed upon you from leadership or market or whatever it might be. So there's definitely a lot of benefits and efficiencies to be gained. It really just depends on this on each individual situation of how you implement it. But I'm confident that there's a solution out there for actually everyone in terms of where and how to implement it. So yeah, I would just say like lean in. Don't be afraid of it.
Lenin, fantastic. Thank you very much for this message, John. Thank you for being with us today. We are honored, and let's talk fair on air until next week, and see you soon. Thank you.
Super. Thank you very much. Take care.